You work in Toronto with a culturally diverse team.
سلام، صبح شما بخیر.
Hi, Tom.
早晨，吔屎啊你！
Hi.
Chị làm phiền quá.
Thì ra chỗ khác chơi đi. Hi. Thôi đi co cho. Hi.
Підтримав куфайку.
Привіт.
Шановні, що відбувається? Допоможіть.
Günaydın, nasılsın? Şimdi sen böyle videolar çekerek zamanını harcıyorsun. Zaten anlamayacaksın bunları da. Ama yani böyle şey yapmaya devam edersen affedersin ama kovulursun yani. Böyle olmaz.
This is the best way to put Toronto. It is the world in one place. The amount of diversity in this country is insane, and the food benefits from it. And no, I'm not just talking poutine. I actually don't really like poutine that much. Since moving here, I've eaten food from Rwanda, Colombia, Ecuador, food from various parts of Asia as well. And these are experiences I would never have got back home. I've also spoken to people who come from cultures that I never even knew existed. I've been invited to events where I've seen my friends dance to their traditions or share their music from the country that they're from. I'd say in the 10 months I've been here, I'm more diverse than I've ever been, just culturally. And for the most part, people accept you with open arms, especially when you're not from the country and they're not from the country either. It's good.
3 things that were totally different in Toronto versus Atlanta. Everybody must be of Caribbean descent, and something that I did not know when I came to Toronto, but the black people are speaking in patois. The white people are speaking in patois. The Chinese people are speaking in patois. The Indian people are speaking in patois. Yes, I thought this was weird.
Sir, I'm a Canadian. I have no plans of going to the U.S. anytime soon. You're in luck. Canada has a lot of Chinese people. In fact, Vancouver's nickname is Hongcouver. Check it out. Hongcouver, because of the influx of Hong Kong immigrants from the 1980s to the 1990s. Furthermore, Toronto is one of the best cities in the world, in my opinion, and there's a great deal of Chinese people there. You can get something like this in Toronto. Places like Fishman Lobster Clubhouse Restaurant, where you get lobster towers like this. If there's one thing about Chinese people, we love good food. So if there's good Chinese food in the area, there's probably a lot of Chinese people. So hence, Vancouver and Toronto. Good luck.
Where are you from?
I'm Filipino and half Pakistani.
Nigga, that shit unheard of. Pakistani and Filipino? Bro, that is a crazy mix. Toronto is just so damn multicultural.
It's an interesting city. There's you got the Somalians, the Indians, you got the white people, you got the Europeans. I've never seen a more diverse place in my life. On TikTok, everyone was like, oh, this place is invaded by the brown people. The Indians are all taken over. Bro, I only saw 15 Indians so far.
What is happening here? I was expecting a ton of Indian people here, but when I got here, I noticed it was mixed. I thought this was going to be Brampton, Brampton Indian powers, but there was no powers here. It was very multicultural, and I was like, wait, am I back in the 90s again and 2000s? What is happening?
I learned a lesson about Canada today that I really want to share with you. And it's, if there was one place on earth I had to take someone to show them how diverse Canada was, it would be Kensington Market. If you go down one road, you're seeing Caribbean culture. The next road, South Asian, Southeast Asian, Portuguese, Spanish, South American. It is the world in one place in Kensington Market. And the food benefits from it. You get Latin food, you could get Caribbean, you could get Asian. It's all there. And it made me stop in my tracks, actually. There was a point where I did actually stop just to look around me, take it in, look at the people. It's an amazing place.
Now, I just worked Canada Day. I usually work Canada Day. And I was working, my wife was working at one event that I had to take her to first. And then we went and worked another event together later in the evening. And they were both big Canada-themed festivals. And the reason I love Canada so much is probably number one reason. It's the most multicultural country I ever lived in. And I've lived most of my life in Australia. I lived in the States for a year. I lived in China for almost 5 years. And by far, that Canada is the most multicultural, especially Ontario. Can't speak much about the other places in Canada, but definitely Ontario is the most multicultural country I've ever lived in. There was people from all different cultures at these festivals. And everyone was wearing red. Everyone was saying Happy Canada Day. Everyone was having a good time. Everyone was treating each other nice. And it just shows that Like, as myself as an Aussie, I'm grateful to be in Canada. I think it's a great country. And all these people who came from different backgrounds feel the exact same way. They love the opportunity. They love to embrace each other. They love the country. And it's so great to see.
I live in Toronto, one of the most diverse cities on the planet. More than half of the residents here are immigrants. And it's pretty common for people to ask each other where they're originally from. A lot of people assume that I'm originally from some broke, illiterate, military dictatorship on the verge of another revolution. And I'm constantly correcting people. I'm like, guys, I'm not American.
Lunar New Year is the most important day for many Asian families like mine, and here are 4 traditions I practice as a young Chinese living in Canada. Number 1, dress up in red. Red is a color for fortune, wealth, and luck. Chinese people believe that it wards off evil spirits and brings prosperity. Number 2, go into the market, or hangfagai in Cantonese. Families usually bring their kids to the flower market to get New Year flowers, candies, and Spring Festival couplets to decorate their homes. And picking out grocery for the New Year is an art. Typically, we get lots of oranges and apples because of the symbolic color. We also get lots of fish and meat for hot pot. Number 3, hot pot time and watching the New Year celebration on TV are essential. Finally, 拜年. This is the most important practice in my culture, where I send greetings and regards to my parents and elderly. In exchange, I get red pocket money for good luck.
I would just love to hear from you. Why do you love the Toronto Caribbean Carnival?
Oh, wow. Well, it's joyous. It's about freedom, liberation, tradition, and a lot of imagination and creativity. It's so beautiful.
This weekend, February 21st and 22nd, Lunar New Year celebrations will be happening in Montreal's Chinatown. There's going to be line dances, a K-pop flash mob, magic and cultural performances. There will also be a Chinatown Passport, which is a free activity where you can explore participating businesses and collect stamps. The more stamps you collect, the more chances you have to win prizes. There are over 1,000 prizes to win, including gift cards from Kim Fung and Patisserie Coco. And when you're done, you can drop off your completed passport at Sun Yat-sen Place to enter the draws.
Is this the best Indian buffet in Canada? This was Tandoori Flame, located in Mississauga. This was the second time I tried eating here, as it seems to get really busy at times. They have a large selection of food and desserts, which included some other cultured dishes. And if you're a picky eater, don't worry Dave, they got something for you too. But to me, it was honestly really good. Although my girlfriend could probably speak better on it than I can.
The pani puri was amazing. They also had really good tandoor items. It's definitely one of the best Indian food I've eaten in Toronto.
As a Nigerian living in Canada, when it comes to Nigerian food stuff, I found that there are like 3 categories of people. There's the category that would rather buy their food items from Nigeria and wait to have them shipped over to Canada. Then there's a category that would rather just go to a Nigerian or African store here in Canada, buy what they need to buy and move on. Then we have a third category of people who are trying to adjust to what Canadian food stuff is like. They try to eat Canadian food or try to make Canadian food taste like Nigerian food.
Just in the British section of the Canadian supermarket, and I'm so glad that they've got all of my favourite British things. Like, these are so good. And, the Kaju butter cookies, they're obviously amazing. We've got some Punjabi cookies, that great British. I mean, it says Britannia on it, so it's got to be British. Got some more Punjabi cookies.
Suji rusk.
Suji rusk. I just love these British snacks. They're the best. And yeah, of course, not forgetting all of the bhujia sev, tasty nuts. I do love tasty nuts. Chakpata dal. It's the best. Love the British section.
Walked into a grocery store in Canada. First of all, why is it called a grocery store? In the UK, we just call it a supermarket. Then I see this cool English section with a little British flag on it as well. I'm stood there thinking, why is my entire childhood in one aisle? Tea, biscuits, baked beans, all labelled like it's some kind of speciality. Back home, this isn't international food, this is just normal food. And the funniest part, it's treated like a little British experience. It's like a little slice of UK, just randomly placed in Canada. Not gonna lie though, kind of nice when you're missing home.
Not only is it the best city in the world, but according to the UN and the British Broadcasting Corporation, it's also the most multicultural city in the world, with more than half of its residents being born outside of Canada and 180 different dialects spoken and 250 different ethnicities found. It's the most multicultural in the world. Now, this report was given in 2022, so it could have updated and another city could have passed us. But until I see that report, Toronto on top.
family, imagine arriving in a country expecting to see one dominant culture, one traditional way of life, and one familiar identity, only to discover that within a single city block, you can experience food from Asia, music from Africa, celebrations from the Middle East, languages from Europe, and even traditions from indigenous communities. Now, this is the reality that surprises many Europeans when they experience Canada's multicultural society for the first time. Now, Canada has developed a reputation as one of the world's most diverse countries, but what surprises visitors is not just the presence of different cultures, it is how deeply those cultures are woven into everyday Canadian life. Now, multiculturalism in Canada is not simply about people coming from different backgrounds. It is about those backgrounds becoming part of the national identity itself. And so Canada officially adopted multiculturalism as a government policy and later established the Canadian Multiculturalism Act, recognizing cultural diversity as an important part of Canadian society. And so for many Europeans, this can feel unusual because many European countries have identities that are strongly connected to centuries of shared history, language, and even traditional heritage. And while Europe itself is diverse, many nations have historically emphasized a more unified national culture. And so Canada presents a different model family, one where being Canadian is often described not by having one specific ancestry, but by participating in shared society while maintaining cultural roots. And so this creates scenes that genuinely surprise visitors. In cities like Toronto, Vancouver, people can walk through neighborhoods where dozens of languages are spoken, where restaurants represent countries thousands of kilometers away, and where cultural festivals bring entire communities together. And so a person can celebrate Lunar New Year, attend a Caribbean festival, enjoy Indian cuisine, visit European cultural events, and still feel that all of these experiences are part of the Canadian story. Now, the surprising part for many Europeans is that multiculturalism in Canada does not always mean people have abandoned their original cultures. Instead, many immigrants continue participating in their traditions while also building a new Canadian identity. And so a person can be proudly Nigerian Canadian, Indian Canadian, Chinese Canadian, Italian Canadian, or even Ukrainian Canadian while still being fully part of Canadian society. Now, this approach has created a country where immigration has become a major part of national development. Canada's policies have long recognized immigration as contributing to the country's social, cultural, and even economic fabric. And so the result is a society where newcomers are not only adding a diversity, but also influencing Canadian food, businesses, arts, technology, and even communities. However, what makes Canada fascinating is that this diversity also creates conversations and challenges. And so a multicultural society requires constant effort, learning how different communities interact, ensuring equal opportunities, and even finding common values that connect people despite different backgrounds. And so Canada's multicultural experiment is not about pretending differences do not exist. Rather, it is about finding ways to exist within one national identity. And so for visitors from countries with longer established cultural traditions, Canada can feel almost like stepping into the future. It shows a different version of what a country can look like when people from many parts of the world contribute to one society. And so the Canadian experience raises an important question, whereby does a nation need one single culture to have a strong identity, or can diversity itself become the identity? And this is why so many Europeans are fascinated by Canada. They arrive expecting to discover one Western country, but instead they discover a global community living inside one nation. And so Canada's story is not simply about where people come from. It is about how different journeys can meet and create something new, family.